I think he is absolutely right. I would also like to point out to you, before I take any questions, that this exhibition cannot be the work of one person. First of all, my director has stuck with this exhibition through thick and thin, and I just want to say thank you so much, because without his support and his recognition of the intellectual merits of the exhibition, I don't think it would have happened. The DIA employed me for a variety of reasons, and one of which was to reorganize the African Gallery. And so when I came here and the DIA was going through renovation and also the reinstallation project, I was fascinated by the opportunity to work with very, very, very talented colleagues. And that is one other point that I want to raise here, the fact that it is always possible to do an exhibition of this size when you have a big institution like the DIA behind you. The DIA's African collection is marvelous, but it also pays when people know that you have pieces in your collection that they will need in future. And that is the reason why I've been able to get many of the pieces that you see, because I carry a big stick, knowing that I come from the DIA. And on top of that, I would also like to point out that, like I said, this exhibition may be my brainchild, but in implementing it, I worked with some of the most talented people in-house, technicians, interpretive educators, designers, and also people who are in the conservation department. Many of these individuals you don't see here today. Today I am the face of the exhibition, but I just want to acknowledge their contribution to this process. Some of the interpretive strategies that we've used were interpretive strategies that we sat down and talked together and discussed at length with other people. I've also benefited from the input of consultants, both local and national, and all of them have made this exhibition possible. I just want to also lastly point out that when you go through the exhibition, one thing that I want you to walk away with is that there isn't one Africa. There isn't one African culture. There are many African cultures. And at the same time, there are many European entities who connected with Africans and engaged Africans. So it is impossible for us to get artworks from every single African culture to be represented here. That is the reason why we've chosen a thematic approach to the entire exhibition. But we are also trying to avoid overgeneralization, and therefore we've included in each of the thematic installation occasional contextual installations that allow us to deal with a particular subject matter from a particular cultural perspective. That way, people can walk away knowing that there are specific narratives that we can connect with particular cultures. And I just want you to know that when you walk through the exhibition, you will find many, many, many of these little bits that we've included to make the exhibition more exciting to our public. There may be instances where you will detect humor, satire, occasionally you detect violence in certain areas, but these are factual. These are based on factual information, and that's the reason why we've included them. This is not an attempt to throw things out there just for the sake of throwing them out there. I just wanted to make sure that much of the very sensitive areas are fact-based installations that allow people to learn something new. So I hope that this exhibition is enlightening to our public, and I look forward to working with our schools and our public to make sure that the exhibition really runs its course and re-educates everybody not only in the Detroit area, but also when it goes to Kansas City. So I'm open now for questions.
How long will the exhibit be here at Detroit?
The exhibition is going to be here from April 18th, starting on Sunday, until August 8th. And I hope you bring your children and your children's children, if you have any.
You'll have to give me more time for children.
That's right. Yeah. And by the way, you know, this exhibition has been 10 years in the making. And I can tell you how delighted I am to finally see it out there. And we have one person who was also able to work with we members of the DIA team very, very closely to get the outcome that you're going to be seeing. And that is Frank Avant, who is a designer. He came in not knowing much about African art, but he was very honest about it and sat down with us. And over the last couple of months, 3 months or so, or 4 months, he's done such a terrific job, and I think that he needs to be commended for translating the material in this fashion. Yes?
Do you happen to have any pieces curated from Howard University's collection?
Not from Howard University. But now that you've mentioned it, I'm going to try and check it out, because I don't know much about the Howard University African collection.
Have you had any expressions of interest from media in Africa on the exhibition yet? Yes, I have, but unfortunately it's always funding that puts a brake on these kinds of engagements. Many of them would love to see an exhibition like this in Africa, but it all boils down to money. And museums, national museums are suffering in Africa. They are underfunded, and many of them are understaffed. And so even if there were sources of funding, we still have to deal with the personnel issue, whether they have the expertise to implement.